My name is Jamie Noguchi, and welcome to Draw Jam. So it's been a long time since I recorded anything for this channel, and I apologize for that, but deadlines kind of all smashed together at the same time, and life things happened at the same time, and so I had to kind of like restructure the way I do life and figure out a better way to just manage my time and to figure out what to do with all my side projects and things like that. So I still want to do more video tutorials about processes, like more Photoshop tutorials and digital art things, and I have some ideas of things that are coming up, like a Illustrator tutorial on logo design and things like that. But I also want to start a vlog series that I used to run on my older channel, just talking about the business of art and illustration and comics and all that kind of stuff. So I want to kind of move some of that over here. I also have to figure out how to sync playing music and recording it a little bit better. The first couple draw jams are fine because you only see my fingers move for a second and then it goes right into the tutorial and you don't see how horrible the sync is. So for now I think I'm just gonna start laying down some pre-recorded music beds over stuff. So you should be hearing some music in the background, I think. Yes. But anyway, yes. So today I want to talk about the art of making money with your art, or the business of making money with your art. And there are two basic ways to start monetizing what you do as an artist. You can sell artwork itself, or you can sell your service as an artist. It turns out, even though it sounds really daunting, selling artwork is probably the easiest way to get into the money making part of being an artist, and really you should be doing both. But making a thing and then selling the thing is as old as humans have come up with monetary systems. Like, you make a thing and you sell the thing, and then you make another thing and you sell it, and hopefully you're selling it for more than it costs you to make it. So with artwork, it's great. This t-shirt, for example, somebody did the design, put it on a t-shirt. You do the design once, you stick it on a t-shirt, and you keep selling it, and you can rack up your money. Before the modern day, before the internet age, before all of these online tools were developed for us, you had to kind of put in a financial investment. You couldn't just go to a t-shirt website and put up a design, set it and forget it, and be on your merry way. You needed to pay somebody to do like a screen printing, or you needed to go to like a Kinko's to print off editions of your comic, or you needed to find somebody with a high quality color printer to print off a run of your prints or something like that. Whatever it was, you needed to make a financial investment up front. So you had to be a little bit stingy with the things that you were going to make as a product to try to sell. You had to learn about your market. You had to learn about what things were popular. You needed to do a lot of groundwork before you could actually start making money with your stuff. It's a lot easier now. There are a lot of print-on-demand sites that don't require any money up front. You just put up an image and sell it. Put it on like cups, panties, mouse pads, shirts, hoodies, whatever. Put it up for free, and a lot of those sites have built-in marketplaces and built-in fan bases, and you can actually start to sell little by little your work. The margins on those sites all suck. Like, the margins on the print-on-demand sites are terrible. Like, you're making maybe $1 per shirt, which is bullshit. A shirt like this, 2-color print, I think the most you would be paying for, if you order in bulk, you'd be paying maybe like $5-7 per shirt. Shirt like this at a convention sells for $20, so that's a really good return. You're making a lot of money per piece. Whereas if you uploaded this to a print-on-demand site like a Cafe Press or Redbubble or Society6, you might be making $2 per shirt. The difference is, with a screen printer, you have to order stock. And that, if you've talked to anybody who does shirts, that's the worst part of their day, figuring out who's going to order what and what size and all that, and then finding a place to store all that shit. So like, my basement is full of unsold stock that is just kind of waiting for me to bring out to a convention or use as a rag when I need to clean up something. So the print on demand places, they take care of all that stuff. You don't have to stock anything. You don't have to pay up front for anything. You don't have to worry about separations or any of that fancy bullshit that you go to when you're working with a traditional screen printer. But the margins really suck. My suggestion is to start with a print on demand place, because it's a good way to test your designs, and it's a good way to feel out the market and to see if there are people willing to buy your stuff. So come up with like a simple design, stick it on a shirt, and put it up for sale, and tell all your friends, tell their friends to tell other friends, spread it out to a whole bunch of sites. Redbubble is one, TeePublic is one. I have a bunch of weird designs on a TeePublic site. Society 6, Cafe Press was big when I started doing webcomics. Any one of those sites, they're fine. Put them on one, put them on all of them. Who cares? But get your design out there. Get a bunch of designs out there and see which ones are selling. If you're only selling maybe like one shirt every 2 weeks, that's a clear indication that nobody wants to buy that particular piece, or that market doesn't exist. However, if you find that you're selling consistently, like if one of your designs is being sold like every week on one of those sites, wherever you end up putting it out, you might consider making a small order. A lot of the local printers, and you want to find a local printer, you want to find a local screen printer. A lot of the local printers will work with you on order numbers and give you advice on how to order sizes and all that kind of stuff. And if you can find somebody local, it's a lot better than finding someone online and ordering it and maybe not knowing what's going on. So you'll have to do a little bit of research. If there are screen printing places near you, try to work with them, build a relationship with them, because they're going to be your greatest ally when it comes to making other types of products. And I guess I'm talking about shirts because shirts are kind of an easy thing, but this goes with like prints or posters or any other kind of thing that you can make on demand. Make it on demand first, see if there's a market. Once you've determined there's a market, try to find somebody to work with locally, because the local printer will usually give you a pretty good deal, especially if you call them up and work with them in person. And then figure out how much stock you need to make a initial order. Make that initial order, and then take it out to a show, like a local craft show or a local comic book show. We're kind of lucky in the DC area. There are a bunch of different organizations that host their own shows, and we're relatively close to a bunch of different conventions that come through, and we have a lot of craft fairs. So there's a lot of options for us in the DC area. If there are fewer options for you wherever you're living, you gotta bite the bullet and set up an online shop, which really sucks. But Etsy is kind of a go-to place for a lot of independent artists. I don't use Etsy myself, but Etsy has a built-in customer base. And even though you have to pay to feature to post things on Etsy, it's great for independent artists starting out, because Etsy has a really good reputation for helping up and comers get their stuff out to the world. So test your shit out. If it's working, buy some stock and then get it out. Hit a local show. Set up a store online, and there are free services for that. Etsy, you have to pay for that, but there are other places that are free. I think Store Envy allows you to set up a thing for free. Store Envy also has a built-in marketplace, so you can have your own custom shop. Anytime you put a product into a Store Envy store, that also gets populated to the rest of their site. So if people just go to storeenvy.com and they're looking for shirts, your shirt might show up and people are like, oh my God, that's amazing. So you have a built-in marketplace there. When you get to the point where you're no longer selling things on a print-on-demand basis or manufacturer-on-demand basis, general rule of thumb is that you want to price things 3.5 times what it costs you to make it. So that's 1, to replace the thing you just sold. That's 2, to make another thing, because you kind of want to expand your line. You don't want to just break even. You want to kind of make more of the thing. And then that last 3 and that half, that's for you to take home, because you're trying to build a business here. You're trying to save some money or build your money so that you can do other things, put it into other products, or keep it home, or save it. Most likely save it for taxes, because when you start out, this is going to be an expensive hobby, but eventually that last percentage is going to grow and grow, and you're going to be able to sell more and make more things, and it's kind of a good cycle. When it comes to pricing things like fine art, like paintings or custom toys or commissions or things like that, that is a mystery alchemy that I have not personally figured out. I guess you price it at what the market can bear. To figure out what that is, I don't know. If you have a built-in fan base, you can ask them what they'd be willing to pay for like a customized thing. You could go on to eBay and see what other people are selling their things for to sort of get a range. Like if you do, let's say you do custom vinyl figures, and you can see there are a bunch of blogs out there that show, dedicated to the custom vinyl scene, so you can see what those people are selling their customs for. You can go on eBay to see what the market is for custom figures, and see what those people are selling their stuff for, and then kind of base your pricing on that. It's basically price it for how much you can get for the thing. It helps if you've built up a name of some sort, if you have a fan base. Selling fine art and pricing it appropriately, it helps if you have a fan base to go off of. Like if you go online and you see somebody is selling like a custom fig for $500, and they've been in the business for years and people know their name, they can probably get away with that. If you're just starting out in the custom figure game and you start pricing things at $500, I am not sure you're going to sell the thing. You might. Like I said, I don't know the fine art scene or the urban pop art scene as well as I know, concerts and stuff like that. But my sense is, like, right out the gate, I don't know if you can command the big numbers like the other guys. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe your customs are so amazing that people just like lose their shit over it. Or, you have a style that just instantly connects with somebody and they're like, oh my God, I have to have this. But go out there, do a little bit of research if you're leaning towards more the fine art or pop art market. See what the market is out there, see what people are pricing their things at, and then guess appropriately. And after a couple of these things, you'll figure out what's appropriate for what it takes. Because it's hard to price fine art. You're never sure of what your stuff is worth. Don't cheat yourself. Don't do like a 8x10 painting and sell it for $20. That's bullshit. Even if you're starting out, a $20 this size, like 8.5x11 size painting for $20, that's a ripoff. You're ripping yourself off. I mean, if you sneezed on the painting and that's the artwork, okay, fine, you're selling snot. But if you put some time and effort into it, don't sell it for $20. Just be reasonable. Pay yourself. Have the confidence. I would, 50 at least. 50, 8.5x11. Don't quote me on that, but quote me on that. And don't cheat yourself. So fine art is a dark alchemy that I don't know. I know $20 for a 8.5x11 acrylic painting is way too cheap. But aside from that, you're gonna have to do some research out there, and you're gonna have to figure out. And if you have a fan base, it's great because then you can ask them, like, what would you be willing to pay for something like this? So yeah, selling things sounds difficult. It's actually pretty easy in terms of the selling work or selling art. The second part, selling art as a service, is much more difficult. This gets into things like contracting for a company, or like if you're doing freelance work, if you're doing freelance illustration for clients or design, that kind of stuff. That gets into hourly rates versus project rates and things like that. There used to be this great tool online from Freelance Switch, which is no longer Freelance Switch, but they had a great calculator for you to figure out what your rate is, and they took into account things like what it takes for what's your monthly rent, how much do you spend on food, how much do you spend on gas, how much do you spend on supplies, how much do you spend just dicking around, things like Netflix or subscription, things like that. And they calculated all that together, and they figured out what your hourly rate should be for you to maintain the lifestyle that you currently have. I don't think that is on their website any longer, which sucks because it was really useful for me to figure out what my daily rate should be. So this is a little bit more difficult because there are many theories about how to price yourself as an artist for hire, as a gun for hire. Like, and there are different industries. Different industries cost different things. Like, web design is going to get you a higher rate than straight up illustration, which is probably going to get you a higher rate than if you're doing comics, which is weird because comic page rates haven't changed since like the 70s, even with inflation and all that kind of stuff. So it really depends on the industry that you're looking into, and what your peers are charging, because it's like an open marketplace, and especially for freelance, it's kind of tricky to figure out what your pricing is. Selling yourself as a gun for hire is a little bit more difficult than setting it and forgetting it and selling a thing. Like, I draw a sticker once and then I can sell it multiple times. Whereas if I'm an artist for hire, I have to keep doing the thing within a certain amount of time, and there's deadlines to consider and things like that. And it also requires you to work with clients, it can be difficult if you are too precious with your work. If you remember back to your college days when you were getting critiques in class and it was really painful to sit through and hurtful, and you thought everyone was full of shit and they didn't understand your vision and you knew what the hell you were doing and they just couldn't understand it. Well, you need to get over yourself, first of all. But second of all, maybe hiring yourself out as a hired gun isn't the right way to go, because clients don't give a shit. They want their thing done. They want the thing that they paid for. They need it, and they want it to look a certain way, and that might not jive with what you want to do. So if you know that you don't handle that well, and that's not what you want to do with your art, and you want to stay true to your vision, don't work with clients in that way. The other thing you have to deal with is deadlines. And for a lot of us artists, we're kind of perfectionists. Like, we have a vision of what we want to see in our heads. And, whatever medium it is, if it's a painting or if it's a print or if it's like a sculpture or anything, it takes us a while to get that out. It might take us more time than we can estimate, because, what artist works on an estimation? How long does it take? It takes as long as it's going to take. Clients don't want to hear that. Clients have deadlines. The clients have other things that they're doing with their lives. They're hiring you to solve a problem, again. And part of solving that problem is solving that problem in a timely fashion. And if you know that your process doesn't allow for that kind of pressure, again, maybe selling your stuff as a hired gun is not the way to go. The other thing you need to understand is clients aren't going to be nearly as harsh as you think they are. They're not going to notice all the little things that you notice. They're not going to notice that, the foreshortening in one panel is a little bit off, or like the vanishing points don't converge in one thing. Like, you have like 8 different vanishing points on this image instead of 1. They're not going to take a ruler and measure all of that out. The only person who's going to do that is you, because you're a perfectionist and you can see everything that you did wrong, and that that shade of yellow is the wrong shade of yellow and it won't work. Client doesn't care. Client just wants it done. Client says, I need a happy owl. They don't care they don't care that the owl isn't anatomically correct, or there's no owl that looks like that in nature. They just want what they want, and they want it when they want it. And if working under those pressures and deadlines sounds like bullshit to you, working for a client is the wrong approach for your art. Not every artist is built the same way. Not every artist is made to be a hired gun. Not everyone can sit down and divorce themselves completely from the end product. Like, some people freak the fuck out when it comes to the critiques. Like, sometimes that was the hardest part for some people. For me, I kind of looked at it as like, here's another idea. Perhaps I can incorporate their ideas into what I'm doing, or maybe they see something that I can't see, because like, I tend to get lost in the woods when I'm working on a thing and very rarely step back. So an outside, unbiased opinion can sometimes help you get out of that mode. But like, some people aren't built that way, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You can still make art, and you can still make money with your art. You just perhaps want to stay away from like working with a corporate client. If it's a commission, I view that sort of differently. It's still paying for a service, but the client is kind of paying for the end product. Like if you're getting a commission for like a personal commission, and before I was talking about like working with a client in terms of like a business, like a I don't know, like a design firm or whoever might hire you as an artist. But if you're getting a personal private commission, I feel like there's a little bit more leeway. Like they're hiring you because they want to see your vision of whatever it is they want drawn or made or sculpted or something like that. So they're hiring you for you, which is great. Like they're not hiring you to solve a problem for them. They're hiring you because you do something that they really enjoy looking at or experiencing, and they want to see what it is for you. And so I feel like there's a little bit more leeway in terms of that. Don't fuck them around on the deadline. I mean, like if somebody commissions you and it takes you like 2 years to put out a piece, that's kind of a bummer. Unless you're giving them regular updates along the way. I'm still working on your commission. Here, take a photo. Here, look, you see what you did. Communication is the key. Whether you're working with a corporate client or whether you're working with a private commission, let the people know. So, selling a thing, hiring yourself out as a hired gun. 2 really excellent ways to make money through art. Hopefully you're doing a combination of both. Private commissions and selling shirts on the side, that's a really good way to start out small. When you get to the point where you're comfortable doing both of those things, maybe you can hire yourself out to a corporate client and keep stock of shirts in your basement or posters and things like that. Where does crowdfunding fit in all of this? Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Patreon. Those things kind of bridge both of the gaps, I think. A lot of times with a Kickstarter, you're getting paid to make a thing. With something like Patreon, you're getting patronage from, private contributors, which are kind of like your clients. It's kind of a weird situation because patrons are supporting you as an artist and helping you continue your work in whatever fashion. But all of these crowdfunding platforms require you to have some sort of following, whether it's on Twitter or Tumblr or Facebook. People have to know about your work. People have to be willing to jump in and support you. And it could start small. You could set up a Patreon page and have like one patron for a couple months, and that might grow. But that part, the crowdfunding depends on word of mouth and getting out there. And we'll have a whole new video on that kind of thing, because I feel like that's something important. Even if you're a really introverted person, you can still leverage social media in a way that makes it seem like you're outgoing and constantly putting stuff out there when you're really just sitting in your bed and be like, people. Kickstarter, you're usually funding a thing. And unlike a lot of tech products, for an artist at least, you kind of need to have a name already. A couple years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, it wasn't like that. It was a new thing, and people were kind of searching on Kickstarter to see what was going on. I funded the creation of Puppy Cow, being a relatively unknown artist. People just saw this weird creature and they were like, that seems like a thing that needs to exist. I'll donate some money. These days, for artists at least, or comic book artists or illustrators or whatever, I feel like you kind of need an audience out there right now. Tech products do really well on Kickstarter, and they can be from companies you've never heard of. So that's a slight difference. So, but yeah, I've seen crowdfunding work for a lot of my friends. Some of my friends are making a good living off of things like Patreon and Kickstarter. Some of my friends are using it just to fulfill a need, just to like do a book run or a print run or something like that. So, but the same principles kind of follow through. Like when you're pricing things on Kickstarter, you kind of want to give them a discount, but the 3.5 what it costs you to make rule still kind of applies, because you also have to include shipping, and shipping will fucking kill you on a Kickstarter if you're not careful. So make sure you price things appropriately, and we'll do a video on Kickstarter and crowdfunding and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like this is a good primer on how to make money with your art. I encourage you to try at least the print on demand stuff, because that's easy as shit. Like, you won't have to pay for nothing. It's the easiest way to do it. And if you're not doing it, And if you're just drawing for yourself, that's fine too. But if you have an intention of possibly making a living with this stuff, start small. Get some crap out there on those print-on-demand stuff. See what works. And if it's working great for you, take that and run with it. Take that and just build your business off of that. And if it doesn't work, whatever, you still got your stuff out. Somebody out there has seen your work. Somebody out there will love your work because your work will resonate with somebody. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Somebody out there will love your shit. You will be someone's favorite artist. I truly believe that. Even if you're still developing your technique, even if your anatomy is all wonky and your line work is kind of scribbly, someone out there is going to love your shit, and they won't know it's out there until you put it out there. So get out there and just, start small and go as far as it'll go. Just get out there and just fucking do it. All right. Thanks for checking in, sitting through all of this. I know it's kind of long, but I'm going to be doing more of these, tutorial, how-to, whatever things, along with more illustrations and time-lapse and maybe some ZBrush sculpting and all sorts of stuff. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll check you later. Oh, and if you have any questions, just hit me up wherever you find this, and I'll try my best to answer them. All right. Thanks. Bye.